Welcome to the Real Estate Reserve Podcast. What's up, Ian?
What's up, dude?
What's going on? We're closing out the week here. I know we branded everything with the Real Estate Reserve Podcast. Maybe we should switch it off to the REI Madness stuff like we had this week because we were going strong with REI Madness. And you know what? While we're at it, let's just do the opening theme song for REI Madness. It's our last day. It's Friday. We're doing all the key takeaways that we both got. But you know what? Screw it. Let's do the 9-second intro right now. There we go. Now I'm all freaking pumped up. I like that intro. That intro. I like that intro. So nice. So REI Madness, some key takeaways. If you're just tuning in for the first time and you've been under a rock the last week, we've been doing an event called REI Madness, and we had 21 experts, local experts in different niches and real estate strategies. And we broke them up into 3 different teams, and the 3 teams. Seven different teams of 3 different experts, and they were flippers, wholesalers, lenders, self-storage, new construction, and rentals in general, right? And a ton of people got a lot of value. We got a lot of key comments from it, and I know for myself, I got a lot of key takeaways, and I want to share some of the key takeaways that I got, and I'm sure Ian's got some key takeaways that he wants to share. And some of these were key takeaways that I personally got, but also just kind of key takeaways that after talking to a lot of folks after the fact, they seem to have as well. So why don't I just start this off? You want me to do my first one, Ian?
Hell yeah, man.
So one thing I was really impressed about is every single expert and speaker that we talk to takes their business very, very seriously. They take it very seriously and they treat it like it's a business. Some of them do real estate full time. Some of them have other jobs and they do real estate on the side. But either way, they take it serious. They all have unique business models. Yeah, they might have similar real estate strategies, but they all operate them kind of individually the way they see fit that's best for them. So they all take them seriously. They treat them like a business. And more importantly, they're obsessed with their businesses. They're obsessed with their businesses. They're obsessed with real estate investing. They do whatever they can to be successful, and they're continuing to grow to be better and better and better. One specific example that I have, let me add the word adapting as well, right? Because a lot of these real estate investors have had to adapt or pivot their model slightly since COVID hit. It didn't slow them down. None of them have been slowed down. But I remember one of the day, I think it was Wednesday, that we had Jimmy Harris on there, and who's a new construction builder. And he adapted by, he was talking about his new strategy for putting modular style homes on some of his building lot sites. And some of the advantages of doing that wasn't necessarily that it cost significantly less, but one of the reasons he did it is, a lot of the modular style property compared to the stick built house it was built, it's built to do a factory and a lot of the stuff's installed. And what's the term, Ian? Like when you're putting the property together, it was a lot more fluid and seamless. Like if it snowed or if he had bad weather or something like that, it didn't slow down the process.
Yeah, he was mitigating his downside risk, right? Like he had a pain point of trying to coordinate subcontractors and a pain point of trying to build houses in the middle of the winter. And he said, well, how can I go fix this? And Corona's a great time to try to go and figure this out. I think one of the things that I found during this whole event, and it resonated everybody from realtors to lenders to flippers to wholesalers, was that everybody's underwriting changed, right? It's not that it necessarily changed, is that their underwriting actually almost got a little bit better, right? Like you had to step back and take a deep breath and say, what's going on in the marketplace, right? The 2020, we all got something thrown at us that nobody could expect, but hearing the team rental guys saying, well, I understand the position, the market's increasing, I can still find deals. Let's underwrite the deal just a little bit harder, and I can still find a deal that fits in my box. Same thing with the self-storage guys, the flippers, realtors, being able to go out and finding deals and still being able to sell deals even though Corona's taking place. Just listening to Jim saying industrial is beyond hot because people are ordering more stuff from Amazon. We all feel that pain. All of our wives are ordering stuff from Amazon every other day. But with that being said, Jay, I think something that we both talked about, and we've talked a lot about since we've been reading this Atlas Shrugged book, is momentum. That all 7 of these teams, momentum was not an issue. The guys are all doing what they love. Like listening to Terry, I went from wholesaling, but now I'm doing self-storage and doing momentum. Or Steve Kavanaugh moving to West Palm Beach a few years ago and still being able to flip houses in Southern Maryland. He still carried his momentum. Or even better, team lenders. Like there's a prime example. Those guys, they got crushed. They're getting crushed because of Corona. Where are they going to be able to lend? Who are they going to have to? Are they going to have to change their lending limits? And they carried the momentum. And I'd like to hear, even from Hard Money Banker's position, how you guys continue your momentum, but from this event, what you found in the way of momentum and how these guys are carrying their businesses.
Yeah, well, I wrote down as well I wrote down as well, and the the reason we're laughing right now, obviously these are funny comments, but the reason it only says Facebook users is because who's ever chatting these are doing it through one of our Facebook groups, and when you do it through a Facebook group, sometimes it doesn't do your picture if it's outside a page or LinkedIn or YouTube, but that's okay. No matter who it is, it's still funny. So I think it was either Mike Schock or Shane that was talking about momentum in the wholesaling business, related to like, hey, they're out, I'm out here grinding, I'm in the wholesale business, I'm growing and growing and growing and growing, and because I'm in the business and I'm continuing to grow, I'm just getting deals thrown at me left and right. I don't even know where some of these things are going from. But if those guys stopped wholesaling, right, Mike or Shane, they stopped wholesaling, they even admitted it's so hard to get back into the game. It just is in all aspects of business. It is. I mean, one of the reasons, one of the reasons why, as lenders, we're able to continue to get a lot of market share and market flow is because, we're active, right, and we're in the space, and deals just come out. I hate to say, but deals come out of nowhere, no matter what real estate strategy you're in. Like every single one of those panelists are experts, no matter what type of market conditions they're in. And it's not because they've been in the business long periods of time. I mean, obviously that helps, but it's because they're active and they're grinding and they're growing and they're meeting people and they're dealing with sellers and they're dealing with vendors and contractors. One of the things that I mentioned on a previous show was some of the past deals that we've done, as we were the lenders of the deals, but I showcased some of our clients' deals. And some of these deals have been ridiculously good. We just closed on a deal last month, where somebody bought this property in Baltimore City that was a ridiculously good deal. It was in 21206. They picked it up for about $60,000. It was closer to Hamilton area in 21206. So it was a stronger market, and yeah, it needed close to a full rehab, maybe a little bit less. But either way, it was super. It was super strong. And I called him, and he was like, I've been active in this community. I bought some other properties in this community, and this lady came over to me and says, hey, you know what? I don't want to list with a realtor. You seem to be a nice guy. You're rehabbing the house down the block. Will you, will buy it for me? And just because he was active on a regular basis, it worked. So, it looks like Terry Royce is alive. So that's good news. He's news in. He's on a beach in Florida. Stop bothering him. Okay, we'll stop bothering him. So
but either way, like we're ragging on Terry. We weren't even ragging on Terry, but Glenn and them are going back and forth. But what's going on here is relationship, right? And that's something else that we talked about. I don't mean to cut off your thought, but I'm just thinking about momentum and relationship, because relationship was another hot topic that came up. And you're talking about like the relationship I have with Shane Boyer. We were able to close a 76 unit off market deal. The relationship I have with Steve Kavanaugh, we were able to buy a self-storage deal in 2020. All these deals happened in 2020. We bought something in Baton Rouge together. The relationship I have with Jim Chivers, we were able to find a deal that was just coming to marketplace. That was an 80,000 square foot commercial reposition. The relationship that happened in 2020. The relationship I have with Redmond Beam from Shore United, I was able to refinance our portfolio during all of Corona, right? Like all these different things and all these relationships, and the relationship with Mike Wagner and Terry Royce and Ken Holmes. Like I wouldn't even be in self-storage had we not had that relationship. But here's the thing, your relationships, and I know some people say, oh, your network's your net worth, and it's kind of like cliche. And my wife was making fun of me the other day listening to all these saying, oh, you talking cliches, but let's be honest here. The fact is that your network is how you carry your momentum, right? And like who you surround yourself with. And I think we saw a lot of that during this event, like because all the wholesalers, they were like, yeah, I have like the same answers, even though they're in different niches. And the new construction guys were in the same niche, but we work together all the time, right? Like seeing those different things, it's really powerful. And honestly, everybody that was on this event, we've done business with, and we will continue to do business with, and we look forward to doing business with them. And we know that business is going to come out of all this. And again, that goes back to your momentum and your relationships that you're forging.
And think about what RJ and Andrew were saying related to, hey, they're trying to sell, when they're listing a property right now, and they might have 20 or 30 offers on some of these things. Maybe they're listing it for an investor, maybe they're listing it for a homeowner, maybe they have a buyer that's trying to buy one of the properties, whatever the case is. Both of them will pick each other's phone calls up and take them seriously because they have a relationship and they know that they're legit. So it's not all about the top dollars and cents. It's not all about buying at the lowest price or the highest price, whatever the case is. Relationships go a long way. In this business, it's all about performance and execution, and whoever can perform and execute the best is always going to get it. It's the same thing related to when you have a relationship. Like think about this, this self-storage property that Ian and I are taking a look at. He called one of his bankers. He didn't go through a whole crazy process. He said, listen, this is the property that we're potentially looking at purchasing. This is what the numbers shake out. Is this something that you think you can do? Right? And the guy, very transparent, was like, it's not going to work unless it's these numbers, something related to that, right? So like he didn't have to waste time to go through the process because he had a relationship with somebody. On the other side, if his lender says, yeah, we can do it, this is what we would require, he'll do it and the deal is over. It's the same thing with using our company, Hard Money Bankers, or another lender in general. It's the same process, right? I shared a story that Ian and I had we had a relationship on some projects, and we did loans in some areas of Baltimore City that I wouldn't normally want to lend in. But because, Ian and I had a relationship, I was like, you know what, let's structure the deal so we can make it a win-win spot. So I know a lot of people talk about relationships, let's build relationships, let's do this, but that's where deals are had. And, even if you don't have a relationship in this space right now, none of us had a relationship at the beginning. Let's start from there, right? And if you don't have any, there's, even though we're in the midst of COVID, there's still a lot of opportunities to do, right? Like there's a lot of folks that chat kind of digitally. Just because you're not in a REI group right now or a meetup group, or maybe even be able to meet people in place. There's a lot of virtual ways to do that. You can hop on and you can ask questions, you can watch videos, you can call people, you can provide value. There's too many people in the world that just are takers and are not givers. So start providing value to people over and over and over and over, and it goes a long way. There's something, you might not be an expert in real estate investing, but you're an expert in something, hopefully, and you probably are, right? You're an expert in something that you can provide value. There's so many new real estate investors that we work with, that we lend money to, that are not full-time real estate investors, they're first-time real estate investors, and they're phenomenal. They're phenomenal clients. They provide value in other ways.
Yeah, exactly. And you're almost leading into the book that we've both been reading, Atlas Shrugged, and we've been doing the Atlas Shrugged challenge. I don't know how much momentum we got out of it, but when you talk about givers and takers, that book's a lot about producers, and then I guess technically the takers, and we're going to get deep into it here shortly at the end of the quarter to discuss the book. But some of the stuff that we're reading in the book, I called Jason last night after our last event when I finally got home, and I was like, God, dude, that was a crazy long week. But the value bombs, it was like crazy to watch. I was talking to a few of the presenters. They're like, I was taking notes while we were presenting, right? Like, but here's the thing, they were providing value and they were getting something back. And I was like, yo, Jay, like some of the stuff we're reading in Atlas Shrugged is like literally happening in real time with this event right in front of us, or like what's going on in the political world based with all our real estate businesses and how we're all adapting and overcome. So it's actually kind of cool that we're doing this simultaneously with this event and everything that's going on in the world. So
yeah, well, let's talk about some other key takeaways that potentially some key takeaways that maybe you got and I got. I'll tell you a few because again, we didn't chat before this, So we each kind of jotted down our own. But one of them is, it seems like all the real estate investors out there right now are using their own money, private money, or hard money. And their own money meaning like a HELOC or like maybe a partnership with somebody else, a friend or family that has money. So a private lender or hard money to take down all their projects short term. Seems like nobody's going the bank route short term because it's hard to find good opportunities. You got to move quick. The banks are inflexible, and I think that makes sense. I think the two bankers that were on yesterday with lenders admitted to that as well. That wasn't necessarily their game plan, but the goal is to take down the projects as quick as possible and execute as quick as possible. And the cost is secondary. And I know you might say, well, you're a hard money lender, you have expensive costs. Of course you're going to say it's secondary, but that is the truth of the matter, because, if you lose out on the opportunity, it doesn't matter how much it costs. And, do the math. If you have a project that's only going to take you a few months to stabilize or a few months to flip, do the math, the difference between a 13% interest rate and a 6, 7, 8% interest rate. Like, depending on the project, could be in the hundreds or low thousands. Like, it's not a tremendous amount for a short period. So, but even the new construction builders were using private money on deals. Like, I thought they would be using guidance lines of credit from banks and things like that. It seems like a lot of them were using hard money, short-term capital, private money. And I mean, I see that in our business as well, but exclusively every one of those speakers were using capital like that.
Yeah. And obviously team lenders, like we said, wasn't the most sexy topic, but it was probably one of the most important topics, or one of the most important teams that everybody could have gotten value from. But some I want to cover, there's two quick points I want to cover, Jay, and one of them is Andrew Undum, RJ Breeden, and Jim Chivers from Team Realtors, and just talking about marketing in general, and those guys being able to market deals and how they handle it, and the difference between having to cast a massive net versus doing something that's like super focused in a niche market. That was really cool to see. I loved Andrew and RJ. We're both talking about, we get all this razz up about this new house and then we list it. We do all this hard work for our clients, and seeing that was really cool. And then the other takeaway that I had that really resonated with me, and it came, I think some people would be surprised, but some of this goes back to a mastermind that me and Vadim were in. But I don't know if you guys noticed the way Vadim was talking and the way the guys from Team Self Storage were talking, is that they've created a lifestyle around their investing business, right? And even Steve Kavanaugh, right? Like, he talked about it, and Jimmy Harris talked about it. I think one person in each group talked about their lifestyle and how it related to their business, right? Like, listening to Kavanaugh being able to operate from so far away, I thought that was really powerful. Vadim, out of everybody, like, really pulled it out for me, because he's like, I travel a lot. I want my business to be super easy. This is how I want to handle it. And he crafted that lifestyle around his business. To me, that was like, it always resonates with me every time I look at it or hear it, because I'm like, oh man, should we do this or should we do that? Are we taking enough time for ourselves? And when I hear it, it always resonates with me. And, I think it's a takeaway that I'm going to work on and maybe journal on over this year about how to create a lifestyle business. So Vadim, I appreciate that, man, because every time you talked about it, and it resonates.
And again, Vadim hopped in a lot related to during the goal setting goal setting conversations, because like, I don't think he told himself that he even had a plan in place or a goal in place or a strategy in place, but he does. Subconsciously, he's doing it, right? He might not look at it like that, but I'm sure a lot of people have heard our goal of, we had a business coach, and we had a 10-year goal, and we were able to accomplish a 10-year goal in 3 years, and we realized, and this was years back, but realize kind of the capabilities of some of these things. But Vadim has, just like a lot of us, his lifestyle business, but this is what he wants to do, right? Like, his lifestyle is grinding through deals and doing some of these deals. And on the outside, it may look like he's working really, really hard on these things, and maybe he is working really, really hard on some of these things. But in essence, to him, like, hey, this is pretty easy. I mean, we can all sometimes take it for granted. It's like, hey, this isn't the hardest business model in general. Real estate investing in general isn't. There's much worse things that you could potentially have to do than the way we're doing it. But I think we all do things the way that we see fit. I mean, Ian and I speak a lot about this a lot. That, you know, Ian seems to want to operate businesses a little bit more. I want to be more kind of on the capital side and a little bit more behind the scenes on stuff. And you know, you take your personality type, you take your traits, you take your wants and your needs of what you enjoy, and you do it that way. Too many real estate investors want to get too big. They want to do too many projects. You know, I see it every day. Yeah, you know, like they kind of degrade themselves. They're not full-time real estate investors, right? Like they joke about that when they call me. I'm like, yeah, just, you know, I'm a newer investor. But like, great. You know, you're in a good spot then, right? Like you took action and you're ready to go. Or it's like, yeah, you know, I'm close. I'm not quite there yet. I'm telling you, the most successful people that I know, and a lot of them invest in some of our capital investors of ours, real estate investing is not their full-time job, or at least operating real estate is not their full-time job. They have the job that they like. It spits them out good income, and they take that disposable income and they invest in assets. And they invest in one asset after the next, and asset growth always is going to outperform income growth. It's just that simple. Like that's just what it is. Your assets are always going to outgrow your hard work.
Yeah, definitely. And you know, again, there were so many takeaways, but I'm scrolling through reimadness.com, you know, and we got really close to our goal of how much money we wanted to raise for the Metro Burn Foundation. So if you guys got any value from this whole event, by all means, please please go over there and donate. It's a charity that's near and dear to our heart. The Breeding Group, the Storage Rebellion, and Studio A Staging, they were monumental in their donations, and we're getting very close to our goal. So if you guys got values, there's been donations coming in over all night. We appreciate it. I promised everyone my email list. I won't spam them anymore about reimadness.com, so I'll pitch it here. But to go back, man, like, so something, and I'm looking at reimadness.com right now, is that like something you saw between like team wholesalers specifically, the flippers, the lenders, and the new construction guys, is like how all those groups kind of, and you know, everyone honestly, but like listening to Vernon Vaughn talk about how he writes down every single dollar that he needs to. He doesn't do it by square foot. He does it by each individual line item to come up with a square foot, right? And then he goes to his lender and he's like, yo, this is what I need to do. This is how I plan to do it. And then the lender's like, this is how I underwrite it, right? And then the wholesalers, they got to understand all this stuff to be able to even sell a deal. And then the flippers were like, well, I'm underwriting all this extra time because I'm having issue getting materials, you know, just like hearing those underwriting things. It was really cool to see how people are adapting and overcoming in the marketplace today. So I will get the link. I'll chat it to you here in a second, Jay. So
which link?
The link for the donation, the direct. You can go to reimadness.com, or we can post the exact direct link. And absolutely, guys, check out the self-storage playbook. There was a lot going on there, and we're happy to pitch everyone that was on this event. You know, Terry Roy started a podcast about self-storage. Just don't let him fool you. Terry J has been catching up on self-storage every day. It's been a hot topic item for him. But what else did you have, Jay? Do you have any other major takeaways?
Yeah, I mean, I strongly believe that every single one of our experts and speakers were very hyper-focused on their main strategy, although most of them diversify into other asset classes as they see fit. And we knew this kind of going in. There's a lot of folks that own rental properties. They flip. They might be a real estate agent as well. But I think the important takeaway from that is most people have their core model, right? The core model, the core stuff that they concentrate in. Call it like a widget, right? You know, it's you've already spent, you know, a good portion of your real estate career devoted to that and learning it and tweaking it and making it better and better and better. That why not continue to do it, right? You know, let's say you own 30 rental properties. You know exactly what to do on a rental property when it comes in, right? Now, that's not to say that the next property you buy is going to be a rental property, but you know what it is, right? So you can continue to kind of scale and grow to that, stay hyper-focused on that, and then you diversify into other asset classes. It could be commercial, it could be flips, it could just be wholesaling. You know, there's a lot of talks about a lot of these investors were wholesaling stuff that we talked about that aren't normally wholesaling because they found a good opportunity wasn't enough room for them, or there's either not enough room for them in the deal, or they said, you know what, I can make just as much money wholesaling this as kind of spending the time, and I've got too much on my plate right now, so why don't I just wholesale this?
Yeah, and well, that's actually a really good point. And I think who the heck talked about it? Someone was talking about it, is like, I might do this as my main strategy, but in the end, like every single one of these asset classes, I understand and I can deploy into if I need to when I find the right opportunity, right? Like, the self-storage guys understand how to underwrite deals. They could wholesale a self-storage deal. They don't need to just hold it for themselves. Or the flipper guys might say, hey, man, here's a house that I want to flip. I'm going to turn it into a rental, or vice versa. The rental guys are like, I was going to rent this, but like, dude, the marketplace is telling me to sell it. I'm going to utilize that strategy instead, right? Like, all these strategies are intertwined. And like when Jay's talking about being hyper-focused, it's not that you need to be hyper-focused and only do this one thing. You should still understand other business models, because if you come across an opportunity, you'll never know how you can partner with someone, how you can wholesale a deal, how you can potentially make additional money on a deal. Like, new construction guys might buy a house that they don't. I remember Jimmy Harris one time. There was a house that he didn't want to renovate. He only wanted to build the house out back, and he was trying to wholesale the house out front so he could build his new house on the flag lot behind it, right? Like, so there's always a way to make money in this marketplace, and understanding other people's business models. While you don't need to do it per se, you should understand how they work.
Yeah, and again, I mean, how many deals have I passed on that you think are great deals, and vice versa? Like, that's what it's the same thing. Like, when we started to become hard money lenders in 2007, the first thing we did was reach out to every other hard money lender and say, this is what our business model is. What's your business model? You know how many deals I passed back and forth to other hard money lenders and vice versa because it doesn't meet their appetite? That's how business is done. Just because you don't like something doesn't mean it's not a good deal. And vice versa, right? I mean, there's loans that we passed on because we didn't think the investor was going to make enough money on the deal and it wasn't worth them doing the deal, and we were nervous for them, and they made a fortune. And then vice versa, right? There's deals that, like, I thought these guys would kill it on, and they broke even. So, you do your thing. So, I talked to a few newer real estate investors today that have been watching this series, and they were proactive, right? Like, they reached out to me, they wanted to introduce, they wanted to build a relationship. They're not perfectly set right now to be able to do much with. They don't have a property under contract. They're trying to increase some of their reserves and some other things. But it was like they were all about education. Remember we talked yesterday with Scott and Chris and Red related to a lot of people try to not leverage up, because that's the wrong word. They try to potentially take advantage of other people's knowledge by shortcutting it, of saying, hey, I want to be a real estate investor, give me money. Whatever you'll give me, I'll take, and I'll do a deal. Like, people are too quick on the trigger to try to just get in this business without learning, right? You have the education phase and you have the execution phase, and they're both very, very important. But you watch your videos, you buy courses from gurus, you pay a mentor or consultant or somebody, right? If you're a limited budget, then it's going to take time. Like, if you don't have much money to invest right now, it's going to take you more time. The reason why is you're going to have to do it the hard way, right? You're going to have to go to all the free events. You're going to have to watch all the free YouTube videos and read all the free books if you don't want to spend money on it. If you do have money, maybe you want to shortcut the time, then you can pay a coach, you can pay a consultant, you can buy home study courses, things like that. But the goal is educate, execute. Ian kind of already mentioned it. Like, our company is trying to get more into self-storage on the buying and lending side. We've never lent on self-storage through hard money, but it's something that we're considering. We understand the risks, we understand the challenges. We've devoted, a good amount of time to it. We're obsessed with learning about it, right? So we believe that our education phase is close to being at the top right now. So now we're going to go out and we're going to go execute. We're going to go buy a facility. We're going to go lend on a facility, and I'm sure we're going to learn a lot more. And then it's just like a seesaw. Then we're going to learn some more. Then we're going to do some more. We're going to learn some more, and we're going to do some more.
Yeah, man. I'm just over here telling the boys that you have said that hard money bankers will lend on self-storage. I'm sure Wagner will be happy about it. But man, again, I can't say enough. I sent an email out last night to all the guys that were involved in the event. They all appreciated it, and we appreciate them so much. It just seeing the conversation that's going on and just the email of the presenters is like that was worth doing this event alone, just to be able to talk to everybody. I know all these guys are our close friends, but having everyone in one room is just like that's insane. And guys, the links in there, the bit.ly link to REI Madness will take you directly to the donation link. And yes, Glenn, that text message you just sent me, you should absolutely do. It will make this way more fun. But seriously, man, it's been a long week. It's been a grind, but it was worth every single second of it. I look forward to doing next year's REI Madness event. We plan on having some awards for that one because we were all joking around about some stuff that took place.
I think Aaron Foster's making a trophy right now and probably just presenting it to himself, but that's okay. You can.
Yeah, no, that's fine.
I thought you guys were a great group. I thought all the groups were a great group. So if we had to rate them, I don't know. I think they're all pretty darn equal. But next year we're going to put a little bit more competition in play, so we can.
Yeah, I think one of them is going to be. Is who's the hardest one to get a hold of, because someone's like, I love Mike Casey. He's like, just find me on the internet. Other than that, good luck. Like you just like. So we'll have to come up with some parody trophies as well. We'll make it more fun. But either way, man, we appreciate it. I hope everyone, if you want to see the replays, reimadness.com. It's all over the internet. I promised I won't spam anyone for at least a week, and I'll spam you next week with all the replays.
Related to that, at least.
Yeah, related to REI Madness. But seriously, it was a good event.
What close should we do today? Should we do the Real Estate Reserve podcast close, or should we do the REI Madness?
REI Madness, because it has the sponsors on there, and it's only fair. Again, this event would have never taken place without them, and we really, really appreciate it. And like I said, we look forward to next year's event. If anyone else wants to make a donation, reimadness.com. Check the link out in the comments. And next week, hopefully, we're going to leave this open for about a week. And the next week or so, we're going to present a check to them. Other than that, we do have some good interviews coming up in the month of February. We have someone that's going to come on and talk about 1031 exchanges and DSTs for anyone that's looking to capitalize. We have a contractor coming on, and she's going to talk about what's going on in the marketplace and what she's seeing. She does a ton of flips. And we also, I believe we have the insurance agent locked up. I know it's not sexy, but insurance is always a good topic, and understand what your position is.
You know what I was just thinking? Since I like both these closes and I just happen to have a audio video guy sitting next to me today in the office, I might get him to swap this audio that I really love with the other video that I really like, that I really love, of our normal podcast close. Then we'll be good, because he probably already has the project set up and I don't have to do it myself.
There you go. So, and your AV guy wanted to photobomb you, but he said he wouldn't do it because you get mad. But let's get out of here before he bombs it. So,
all right, guys. Thanks again for tuning in, and we'll see you back at the Real Estate Reserve podcast next week.
See you.